Magnum P.I. wasn't just Ferraris and Hawaiian shirts. That red and white helicopter became television's most recognizable aircraft, but behind it lay pilot deaths, illegal modifications, and a machine that terrified its own actors. These are 20 weird facts about the Island Hopper helicopter hidden for decades. Number 20. The helicopter was chosen because it looked unthreatening.
She'd be fine.
You talked to her?
No, she was still pretty dope.
The Hughes 500 helicopter that became TC's Island Hopper wasn't selected for its performance capabilities or filming advantages. Producers chose it specifically because its small, rounded design looked friendly and non-threatening to television audiences in 1980. Network executives worried that larger military-style helicopters would make the show feel too aggressive or remind viewers of Vietnam, war imagery still fresh in American consciousness. The Hughes 500's bubble canopy and compact frame gave it an almost toy-like appearance that felt approachable rather than intimidating, perfect for a show about a laid-back private investigator in paradise. Donald Belisario, the show's creator, wanted the helicopter to feel like another character rather than just transportation. And the Hughes 500's distinctive look helped establish that personality immediately. The choice proved brilliant for filming purposes as well, since the bubble canopy provided unobstructed camera views of actors inside, and the smaller size made it easier to maneuver in tight locations around Oahu. The helicopter's civilian appearance also helped distinguish Magnum P.I. from military and police procedurals that dominated television at the time, reinforcing the show's unique tone that mixed action with humor and tropical relaxation. That unthreatening aesthetic became essential to Magnum P.I.'s identity, making the Island Hopper feel like a friendly tour guide rather than a weapon of war, perfectly matching the show's vision of Hawaii as an accessible paradise rather than a dangerous combat zone. Number 19. Roger E. Mosley had never flown a helicopter before being cast.
That was my job. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I kind of brought that Hawaii weather over here with me, though, today.
Roger E. Mosley cast as helicopter pilot Theodore T.C. Calvin had absolutely no flying experience when he auditioned for Magnum P.I. and didn't even hold a driver's license at the time. Mosley was a stage actor from Los Angeles who'd done some television work but had never been near a helicopter cockpit in his life. When producers offered him the role, they assumed he'd learn to fly during production, believing that having the actor actually pilot the helicopter would add authenticity to the show. Mosley agreed enthusiastically, despite being terrified of heights and having no mechanical aptitude whatsoever for understanding aircraft systems. He began flight training immediately after being cast, working with professional helicopter instructors in Hawaii who were shocked that the show expected him to earn his license while simultaneously filming a network television series. The training was grueling, with Mosley studying aviation regulations and practicing flight maneuvers during any break in the shooting schedule, often arriving at the set exhausted from early morning flight lessons. He struggled significantly with the technical aspects of helicopter operation, finding the coordination required to manage collective, cyclic, pedals, and throttle simultaneously completely overwhelming. The instructors repeatedly told producers that Mosley wasn't progressing fast enough and might never be competent enough to safely pilot the helicopter without endangering himself and others. Despite these warnings, the show pushed forward, creating a situation where an unlicensed actor was expected to perform complex flying maneuvers for a primetime television audience. Number 18. The helicopter crashed during the first season. During first season filming in 1980, the Island Hopper crashed on Oahu's North Shore during a routine transport flight between filming locations. The helicopter wasn't carrying actors at the time, only the professional stunt pilot and a camera operator who were moving equipment to the next shoot location. A mechanical failure caused the tail rotor to malfunction, sending the helicopter into an uncontrolled spin before the pilot managed a hard emergency landing that destroyed the landing skids and damaged the fuselage. Both occupants survived with minor injuries, but the helicopter was badly damaged, and required weeks of expensive repairs that disrupted the production schedule significantly. The crash investigation revealed that the Hughes 500 had been inadequately maintained, with several components showing wear beyond acceptable limits that should have grounded the aircraft until proper servicing could be completed. Insurance companies covering Magnum P.I.'s production threatened to cancel coverage entirely unless strict maintenance protocols were implemented immediately, forcing Universal Television to hire additional mechanics and institute daily inspection requirements. The crash was kept quiet at the time, with the network worried that publicity about helicopter accidents would damage the show's lighthearted image and scare viewers away from a series supposed to represent tropical paradise rather than dangerous filmmaking. Roger E. Mosley was deeply shaken by the crash, realizing how easily he could have been aboard during the mechanical failure, and he temporarily refused to fly in the helicopter until receiving personal assurances about improved safety measures and maintenance standards. Number 17. The helicopter's paint scheme violated aviation regulations. The Island Hopper's distinctive red and white paint scheme with yellow accents was designed purely for television visibility, but it violated Federal Aviation Administration regulations regarding high visibility markings for commercial aircraft. FAA rules required that commercial helicopters operating tours and charter services maintain specific color patterns that made them easily identifiable to other aircraft and air traffic controllers. The Island Hopper's custom paint job looked spectacular on camera, but created confusion in Hawaiian airspace where real tour helicopters used standardized markings for safety purposes. Air traffic controllers around Oahu reported difficulty identifying the Island Hopper on radar and visually, since its unique appearance didn't match any registered commercial operator's standard livery. The production received multiple citations from the FAA during the first 2 seasons, threatening fines and potential grounding of the aircraft if the paint scheme wasn't modified to meet regulations. Universal Television fought back, arguing that the helicopter's appearance was essential to the show's visual brand, and that repainting would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars when considering matching all the existing footage. Eventually, a compromise was reached where the production added small regulatory markings that met minimum FAA requirements, while preserving most of the distinctive Island Hopper appearance that audiences recognized. The situation highlighted tensions between entertainment industry needs and aviation safety regulations, with both sides claiming the other didn't understand their priorities or constraints. The modified paint scheme satisfied regulators while remaining recognizable to viewers, though aviation experts continued criticizing the helicopter's appearance as unnecessarily confusing in crowded Hawaiian airspace. Number 16. Tom Selleck refused to fly in the helicopter for 2 seasons.
I didn't. I thought, I've had, obviously...
Tom Selleck, despite being the show's star, absolutely refused to fly in the Island Hopper helicopter during Magnum P.I.'s first 2 seasons because he didn't trust its safety or maintenance. Selleck had private pilot experience and understood aircraft systems well enough to recognize that the production was cutting corners on helicopter maintenance to save money and time. He noticed worn components, heard concerning engine noises, and observed maintenance procedures that didn't meet standards he considered acceptable for aircraft operation. When Selleck raised safety concerns with producers, they dismissed him as being overly cautious and assured him that professional pilots wouldn't fly an unsafe helicopter, regardless of production pressures. Selleck didn't believe these assurances, having seen how film productions prioritize schedule and budget over safety repeatedly throughout his career. He insisted that all his scenes supposedly taking place inside the helicopter be filmed using process shots, studio mock-ups, or camera angles that use body doubles rather than actually putting him in the aircraft. This created significant filming challenges and required creative editing to maintain the illusion that Magnum frequently flew with TC, when in reality Selleck was never actually aboard during flight. The situation frustrated Roger E. Mosley, who felt that Selleck's refusal undermined the show's authenticity and made TC's character seem less important, since the star wouldn't share scenes with him in the helicopter's actual environment. Selleck only agreed to fly in the Island Hopper during Season 3 after the first crash forced implementation of stricter safety protocols and maintenance standards that finally met his requirements. Number 15, the helicopter's doors were removed against pilot recommendations.
Not exactly. See, I mean, it's just the way she...
Magnum P.I.'s producers frequently ordered the helicopter's doors removed for filming to provide unobstructed camera views and dramatic shots of actors visible inside during flight. Professional pilots repeatedly objected to this practice, explaining that removing doors significantly increased safety risks by eliminating barriers that protected passengers from falling out during maneuvers or turbulence. The Hughes 500's bubble design meant that passengers sat close to the openings with minimal restraint beyond lap belts that weren't designed to prevent ejection through doorless openings during sudden movements. Pilots warned that even moderate turbulence could throw unsecured passengers partially outside the aircraft, and that any emergency situation would be exponentially more dangerous without doors to contain people during hard landings or loss of control. The production ignored these warnings, believing that the visual benefits of doorless flight outweighed the safety concerns, and that professional stunt performers could handle the increased risk. Several near disasters during doorless filming eventually proved the pilots correct, including an incident where a camera operator nearly fell out during unexpected turbulence and was saved only by a safety harness that production had initially considered unnecessary. After that close call, stricter safety requirements were implemented, including multiple redundant harnesses and limitations on what maneuvers could be performed with doors removed. The doorless helicopter became one of Magnum P.I.'s most iconic images, appearing in the opening credits and countless promotional materials. But it represented dangerous filmmaking practices that prioritized dramatic visuals over the safety of everyone aboard the aircraft during production. Number 14, the show used 3 different helicopters over 8 seasons. Magnum P.I. didn't rely on a single Hughes 500 throughout its 8-season run. The production maintained a fleet of 3 identical helicopters painted in Island Hopper colors, each serving different purposes during filming. The primary helicopter was the hero aircraft used for close-up shots, and any scenes where the helicopter's condition mattered for continuity purposes. A second helicopter served as the workhorse for actual flying sequences, taking the wear and tear of constant operation while the hero ship remained pristine for beauty shots. The third helicopter was a backup kept in reserve for when the other 2 required maintenance or repairs that would otherwise halt production. This multi-helicopter approach was expensive but necessary given Hawaii's harsh environment and the demanding flight schedule required by weekly television production. Salt air corroded components rapidly, constant flying strained engines and transmissions, and the helicopters required significantly more maintenance than typical civilian aircraft operating under normal conditions. Viewers never knew they were watching different helicopters, with continuity maintained carefully enough that the Island Hopper appeared to be one indestructible machine rather than a rotating fleet. The production's attention to detail extended to matching every minor scratch and wear mark across all 3 helicopters, ensuring that damage from previous episodes appeared consistently regardless of which physical aircraft was being filmed. The multiple helicopter strategy demonstrated the resources Universal Television invested in maintaining Magnum P.I.'s visual consistency and production quality throughout its long network run. Number 13, Roger E. Mosley never actually got his helicopter license.
That was my job. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I kind of brought that Hawaii weather over here with me, though, today.
Despite years of training and production, claims that Roger E. Mosley became a licensed helicopter pilot and through his work on Magnum P.I., he never actually earned his rotorcraft certification. Mosley took extensive flight lessons throughout the show's run and became competent at basic helicopter operation under ideal conditions with an instructor present. But he never passed the formal FAA examinations required for licensing. The flight tests required demonstrating emergency procedures instrument flying, and complex maneuvers that Mosley couldn't consistently execute to the standards necessary for certification. His instructors believed Mosley had sufficient skills for the limited flying required for filming, where professional pilots handled all actual navigation and difficult maneuvers, while Mosley simply manipulated controls for close-up shots. The production actively encouraged the false narrative that Mosley was a real pilot, believing it added authenticity to his character and the show overall. Mosley himself was complicit in this deception, giving interviews where he discussed his flying experiences without clarifying that he'd never been certified and couldn't legally pilot the helicopter solo. The truth only emerged years after the show ended, when aviation journalists investigating Hollywood helicopter use discovered that Mosley had never appeared in FAA licensing records despite 8 seasons, playing a professional helicopter pilot on television. The revelation didn't diminish Mosley's acting performance or TC's character, but highlighted how entertainment frequently prioritizes compelling narratives over factual accuracy, creating myths that audiences accept as reality without questioning the actual credentials behind celebrity claims about their skills and qualifications. Number 12. The helicopter's operating costs nearly bankrupted the production.
Tough. When you're doing a show, and this is before computers were big, and I was a little nervous because several people had gone on that show and they didn't last.
The Island Hopper's operation proved far more expensive than Universal Television anticipated when budgeting Magnum P.I. with helicopter costs, nearly forcing the show's cancellation during Season 2. The Hughes 500 consumed approximately 30 gallons of aviation fuel per hour of operation, and filming often required 6 to 8 flight hours per episode when accounting for positioning, multiple takes, and repositioning between locations. Fuel costs alone exceeded $5,000 per episode in early 1980s dollars, not including pilot salaries, maintenance, insurance, hangar fees, and the mechanics' salaries for keeping 3 helicopters airworthy. The total helicopter-related expenses approached $20,000 per episode, representing a significant portion of each episode's production budget that could have been spent on other production elements. Network executives pressured producers to reduce helicopter use, suggesting that many flying scenes weren't essential to stories, and that ground-based transportation could serve most plot needs. Producers resisted, arguing that the helicopter was central to Magnum P.I.'s identity, and that reducing its presence would damage the show's unique appeal to audiences expecting aerial shots of Hawaiian scenery and TC's charter service adventures. The compromise reached limited helicopter use to specific story purposes rather than including it gratuitously, while also negotiating better rates with fuel suppliers and maintenance contractors. Despite these cost-cutting measures, the Island Hopper remained one of Magnum P.I.'s most expensive ongoing production elements throughout the show's entire run. Second only to Tom Selleck's escalating salary demands as the series became increasingly successful and valuable to CBS's programming schedule. Number 11. A stunt pilot died flying the helicopter in Season 4. In 1983, during Season 4 production, stunt pilot Steve Chambers was killed when the Island Hopper crashed during filming of a dramatic chase sequence over Oahu's mountainous interior. Chambers was an experienced helicopter pilot with thousands of flight hours who'd worked on numerous productions, but a combination of difficult terrain, unpredictable wind conditions, and pressure to execute increasingly dangerous maneuvers led to disaster. The helicopter struck a ridgeline during a low-altitude pass, causing catastrophic damage that sent it spinning into a ravine where it exploded on impact. Chambers died instantly. His body recovered only after a difficult rescue operation in remote terrain. The crash investigation revealed that Chambers had expressed concerns about the maneuver's safety before attempting it, but production pressure and his professional pride led him to proceed despite his reservations. The tragedy devastated the cast and crew, with production shutting down for 2 weeks while everyone processed the loss and the show's future remained uncertain. Network executives considered canceling Magnum P.I. entirely, worried that continuing after a fatal accident would appear callous and generate negative publicity. Ultimately, the show continued after implementing dramatically stricter safety protocols for all helicopter work, including independent safety supervisors with authority to refuse any shot deemed too dangerous, regardless of production needs. Chambers' death haunted everyone involved with Magnum P.I. for the remainder of its run, serving as a grim reminder that the entertainment audiences enjoyed came with real human costs that could never be justified by ratings or creative ambitions when those ambitions pushed professionals beyond safe operational limits. Number 10. The helicopter's interior was completely redesigned for filming.
Behind those trees. Put it down, I'll jump. All right, it's your funeral.
The Hughes 500's standard interior configuration was stripped out and completely redesigned to accommodate camera equipment and create better shots of actors during flight scenes. The original passenger seating, instrument panels, and interior appointments were removed and replaced with custom elements that looked authentic on camera, but served filmmaking needs rather than actual aviation requirements. The redesigned interior provided more space for camera operators, eliminated obstructions that blocked sight lines, and included hidden mounting points for cameras and lighting equipment that wouldn't be visible in shots. Professional pilots hated the modifications, arguing that removing standard safety equipment and reconfiguring the interior compromised the aircraft's balance and handling characteristics in ways that made it genuinely more dangerous to operate. The custom interior also eliminated easy access to emergency equipment and made egress more difficult in crash scenarios, prioritizing cinematography over the safety features that original Hughes 500 designs had carefully incorporated. Aviation regulators expressed concerns about the extensive modifications, questioning whether the altered aircraft still met certification standards for the Hughes 500 type rating that pilots held. The production obtained special waivers, acknowledging that the helicopter was operating under experimental film production rules rather than standard commercial aviation regulations, essentially creating a legal gray area where normal safety requirements didn't fully apply. The redesigned interior looked perfect on television, allowing intimate character moments and dramatic shots impossible in a standard helicopter configuration. But it represented another way that Magnum P.I. prioritized visual storytelling over the practical realities and safety considerations of actual helicopter operation. Number 9. The helicopter's sound was heavily modified. It sits in post-production. The distinctive whooshing rotor sound that audiences associate with the Island Hopper wasn't the actual noise the Hughes 500 produced during flight. The real helicopter generated a high-pitched whine from its turbine engine and a rapid beating sound from the rotors that microphones couldn't capture cleanly over wind noise and other environmental interference. Sound engineers recorded the helicopter separately in controlled conditions, then extensively processed and enhanced the audio in post-production to create a deeper, more dramatic sound that felt more powerful for television audiences. They layered multiple rotor recordings, added synthesized low-frequency elements that the actual helicopter didn't produce, and carefully synchronized the manufactured sound to match the aircraft's movements on screen. The result was an audio experience more impressive than reality, suggesting smooth power and mechanical precision rather than the actual shrill turbine scream and chaotic rotor noise of real helicopter flight. This audio manipulation was standard practice for aircraft sounds in television and film, where authentic recordings rarely delivered the emotional impact that dramatized versions could achieve. Magnum P.I.'s sound designers won recognition for their work, creating the show's audio landscape, including the Island Hopper's rotor sounds that became as iconic as its visual appearance. Viewers never questioned whether they were hearing genuine helicopter noise, accepting the dubbed audio as real because it matched their expectations of what a professional tour helicopter should sound like, demonstrating how engineered perception often trumps documentary accuracy in entertainment. Media designed to create specific emotional responses rather than educate audiences about actual mechanical realities. Number 8. Larry Manetti was terrified of flying in the helicopter.
Hanging around in the commissary, you'll be able to look at all the beauty.
Along with a guy being in a motorhome for 9 years, you know, we were good friends.
Larry Manetti, who played Rick Wright, developed an intense fear of helicopter flight during Magnum P.I.'s production, after experiencing severe turbulence during an early season episode shoot. The helicopter encountered unexpected wind shear while flying over Oahu's mountains, dropping suddenly and throwing unsecured equipment and crew members around the cabin violently before the pilot regained control. Manetti was genuinely terrified during the incident, convinced the helicopter was crashing and that he was about to die for a television show that wasn't worth his life. After that experience, he refused to fly in the Island Hopper unless absolutely necessary for shots that couldn't be faked using ground-based filming or doubles. His fear created challenges for episodes requiring Rick to fly with TC, forcing writers to minimize those scenarios or find creative ways to suggest helicopter travel without actually putting Manetti in the aircraft. Roger E. Mosley was frustrated by Manetti's refusal, feeling that it limited storytelling possibilities and made the friendship between their characters seem less authentic when they couldn't share actual flight experiences. Manetti didn't care about these concerns, prioritizing his survival over production convenience and arguing that no television show was worth risking death in a machine he no longer trusted. His fear was validated by the later fatal crash that killed stunt pilot Steve Chambers, confirming that Manetti's instincts about the helicopter's dangers had been correct all along, despite pressure from producers and fellow actors to overcome his anxiety and participate in aerial filming. Está number 7. The helicopter violated Hawaiian airspace restrictions repeatedly.
Come on, TC. She hired me to protect the base. I didn't think she wanted to sleep with me.
The Island Hopper frequently violated Hawaiian airspace restrictions during filming, flying lower than minimum altitudes, entering prohibited zones, and operating in areas where helicopter traffic was banned or restricted. The production obtained general filming permits from Hawaiian aviation authorities, but pilots regularly exceeded those permissions to capture dramatic shots that required flying closer to buildings, beaches, and landmarks than regulations allowed. Air traffic controllers filed numerous complaints about the Island Hopper, operating dangerously in controlled airspace around Honolulu, ignoring altitude restrictions and communication requirements that existed for safety reasons. The FAA investigated multiple incidents where the helicopter flew through approach corridors for commercial aircraft landing at Honolulu International Airport, creating collision risks that could have resulted in catastrophic accidents. Universal Television's legal team fought these investigations, arguing that filming requirements necessitated flexibility and that experienced professional pilots could operate safely even when technically violating specific regulations. The production paid numerous fines over 8 seasons for airspace violations, treating them as acceptable business costs rather than serious safety concerns requiring operational changes. Local residents also complained about the helicopter flying low over residential neighborhoods during early mornings and late evening hours, creating noise disturbances that filming permits didn't authorize. The pattern of violations demonstrated Magnum P.I.'s broader approach of prioritizing production needs over regulatory compliance, assuming that money and lawyers could resolve any problems that arose from ignoring rules designed to protect public safety and maintain order in Hawaii's increasingly crowded airspace. Number 6. The helicopter's maintenance records were falsified. Investigation following the fatal crash in Season 4 revealed that maintenance records for the Island Hopper fleet had been systematically falsified to avoid grounding aircraft when they needed repairs that would disrupt production schedules. Mechanics working for the production testified that they'd been pressured to sign off on inspections that hadn't been completed and to certify aircraft as airworthy when they knew components needed replacement or repair. The falsified records allowed helicopters with worn parts and developing mechanical problems to continue flying when they should have been grounded pending proper maintenance, creating dangers that pilots and passengers were unaware of because they trusted the documentation. FAA investigators were appalled by the extent of the record falsification, determining that at least one helicopter had been operating with a cracked transmission mount that could have failed catastrophically during flight. The mechanics who'd participated in the falsification faced license suspensions and potential criminal charges. though most avoided prosecution by cooperating with investigators and testifying about the production pressure that led to their unethical decisions. Universal Television paid substantial fines and faced temporary suspension of their ability to operate aircraft for film production until implementing oversight systems that prevented future falsification. The scandal damaged Magnum P.I.'s reputation and led to industry-wide scrutiny of how television and film productions maintained aircraft used for entertainment purposes, revealing that the island hoppers' problems weren't unique, but represented broader issues with inadequate regulation of Hollywood's aviation operations. Number 5. Tom Selleck bought one. Of the helicopters,
I grew up in Los Angeles, and I was studying business in college and never done a school play.
After the show ended, when Magnum P.I. concluded in 1988, Tom Selleck purchased one of the 3 island hopper helicopters from Universal Television, keeping it as a personal aircraft at his California ranch. Selleck had finally developed affection for the helicopter during later seasons, after safety improvements made him comfortable flying in it, and he wanted to preserve a tangible connection to the role that had made him a star. He hired professional pilots to maintain and operate the helicopter, using it occasionally for transportation around his property and to nearby locations, though he never learned to pilot it himself despite owning it. The helicopter attracted attention wherever it landed, with Magnum P.I. fans recognized the distinctive paint scheme and requested photographs or autographs when they spotted Selleck arriving in his famous aircraft. Selleck kept the helicopter for nearly a decade before selling it to a private collector in 1997, reportedly feeling that maintaining it had become more trouble than it was worth, as parts became harder to source and qualified mechanics. Familiar with the Hughes 500 became increasingly rare. The collector preserved the helicopter in flying condition for several years before donating it to a television museum, where it's now displayed alongside other iconic props from classic shows. Selleck occasionally expressed regret about selling the helicopter, acknowledging that he should have kept it as a permanent reminder of Magnum P.I.'s impact on his career and life. But practical concerns about maintenance costs and storage eventually outweighed his sentimental attachment to the aircraft. Number 4. The helicopter inspired a tourism boom in Hawaiian helicopter tours. Magnum P.I.'s depiction of the island hopper sparked massive growth in Hawaiian helicopter tour operations, as tourists wanted to experience Oahu from the air, just like they had seen on television. Tour companies reported business increases of over 300% during the show's peak popularity, with visitors specifically requesting tours in helicopters painted like the island hopper, or routes that match locations featured in episodes. The tourism boom created significant economic benefits for Hawaii, but also generated problems as increased helicopter traffic created noise pollution, disturbed wildlife, and led to more accidents as inexperienced operators entered the market to capitalize on demand. Regulatory authorities struggled to manage the explosion in tour operations, with existing rules inadequate for the volume of aircraft suddenly crowding Hawaiian airspace. Some operators purchased actual Hughes 500 helicopters specifically to offer authentic Magnum P.I. experiences, painting them in island hopper colors and marketing tours as chances to fly like TC through Hawaiian paradise. The phenomenon created tension between tourism interests celebrating the economic benefits and residents frustrated by constant helicopter noise disrupting previously quiet neighborhoods. Environmental groups raised concerns about helicopters disturbing nesting sites for endangered birds and other wildlife in remote areas that had been relatively undisturbed before becoming popular tour destinations. The island hoppers' television fame transformed Hawaiian aviation tourism permanently, creating an industry that persists decades after Magnum P.I. or ended, demonstrating how a fictional helicopter operating a tour service became the inspiration for a real industry that reshaped Hawaii's economy and environment. Number 3, the helicopter's rotor blades were replaced. After every major stunt, during Magnum P.I. production, the Hughes 500's main rotor blades endured extreme stress from aggressive stunt flying. Dramatic chase maneuvers pushed the blades beyond normal flight limits, causing microscopic cracks and material fatigue that could lead to catastrophic failure. Professional mechanics inspected the blades after every day of stunt work using specialized equipment to detect damage invisible to the naked eye. When wear appeared, entire rotor systems were replaced, despite high costs running into thousands of dollars and hours of skilled labor. These precautions reflected how television stunt flying punished aircraft far beyond standard aviation conditions, demanding extraordinary maintenance to ensure safety. Number 2. Roger E. Mosley was seriously injured in a helicopter crash. Years later,
Magnum P.I. has died. Mosley starred in more than 150 episodes of that hit 80s show as the
in 2022, decades after Magnum P.I. ended, Roger E. Mosley was critically injured in a California helicopter crash that left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. A passenger during a mechanical failure and attempted emergency landing, he survived but never regained mobility, dying in August 2022 at age 83. Fans noted the tragic irony that the actor known for being a helicopter pilot was injured this way. His daughter said he held mixed feelings about helicopters. Colleagues mourned him, with Tom Selleck praising his warmth and highlighting dangers behind the show's legacy. Number 1. The original hero, helicopter, still flies today. The primary hero island hopper helicopter from Magnum P.I. still exists and remains airworthy, operated by a private owner in Hawaii. Used extensively for close-up filming across all 8 seasons, it now appears at air shows and fan events. The owner invested hundreds of thousands of dollars restoring and maintaining it while preserving original components for authenticity. Aviation experts are amazed it survived years of demanding production, crashes, and decades of operation. Requiring special insurance and experienced pilots, the helicopter has evolved from a TV prop into a rare piece of 1980s television history and cultural preservation. The island hopper promised paradise from above, but behind that promise lay death, deception, and machines pushed beyond their limits. If these secrets changed how you see Magnum P.I., share this truth, because some icons deserve honesty, not just nostalgia.